RJ, and today's recipe is going to be fall crock pot stew. It is a family favorite around here, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to make in 30 minutes or less. I'm on my way out the door today to head to work, and I want to show you how simple and easy this recipe is, as well as great tasting. So follow me on this recipe on fall crock pot stew. Okay, let's get started with the recipe. First of all, we want to know about the equipment we're going to use and the ingredients we want to use. Now I'm using a 4-quart crock pot, which according to the size of my family, I have 6. This is plenty of crock pot to use for this recipe. I also have the crock pot, which is going to be set on a low setting and for a minimum of 6 hours. So it's important to know if you have a crock pot with a timer, set it to 6 hours and it'll automatically go to a simmer setting after the 6 hours are up on the low temperature. Next off are the ingredients. To feed a family of 6, and I have chuck roast. So first off, we're going to use a seasoning, and this is my Montreal steak seasoning, and I'm going to drizzle the Montreal steak seasoning on top of the meat, just like this. I'm going to grab some of my Italian seasoning, and I am going to do the same. One thing you can do when you put your seasoning on is I like to do a little mashing on the seasoning into the meat. So just go ahead and rub your fingers into the meat and rub the seasoning into it. Okay? Now that I got my meat taken care of the base stew. I'm going to take a container here and start my stew sauce, which is my 2 cans of French onion soup. Remember, I told you that one thing that I like to sneak in there is I like to use a can of stewed tomatoes. I probably would take just about a cup of Worcestershire sauce. It just gives a nice tartness that I want to get with my stew sauce. To use some of the Wonder. Now Wonder thickens my stew, and I want it more stew-like and less soup-like. And I'm going to say I put just about 2 tablespoons of Wonder into my stew. I'm now taking care of my stew. I've taken care of my meat. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my crock pot, and as I said, I'm going to line it with a napkin and olive oil. And I'm going to take my olive oil, and I'm just going to drop, just drop like that. I'm actually going to pick that. I'm going to take that napkin, and I'm going to make sure that garlic is spread out all over my crock pot. Okay? Now finally, what I want to do is I'm going to take half a cup of the chopped red onion. It's time to drop in my veggies. There is my celery, my carrots, and my potatoes. I use 2 potatoes, 2 stalks of celery, and a handful of carrots. My stew sauce, without spilling on my work clothes, on top of the concoction. Okay? Now that I have that, take another 2 cups of water. We've got all the vegetables in, we've done all this, the stew sauce, we've got the meat in there, it's already seasoned. I'm going to put this in for 6 hours on a low temperature, and of course when I come back from work, it'll already be cooked and it'll be on a simmer setting. On my way home to pick up kids, I'm going to grab a French baguette, French bread, which is great with a little bit of butter, and I've got a great healthy meal, and I made this in less than 20 minutes. Waiting for me. So I hope you look at that. That is just all mixture of all those vegetables we put in and the meat, and it looks great. I went ahead and bought a loaf of French bread, and I'm just going to give it a quick sample of how everything tastes. That's good.